And today we have a copy of Famous Monsters of Filmland #1, and this was a Warren publication from 1958. The flaws on this issue include a piece that's out of the cover and first interior page up at the top left. On the back there are also pieces missing along the spine going down to the bottom right corner, and here as well on the bottom edge, and then on this edge there's a hole there. And another flaw that this has is splitting on the bottom of the spine here, and you can see it when you open it up. You can see that that's split there about 1.5 inches at the bottom, 1 to 1.5 inches, and it doesn't lie flat. You can see it's got some kind of a bending to it, sort of a warping, the way that it was stacked for many years and probably in a bad position. You can see kind of a bend here. It's not a subscription crease, but it's just been not well handled, or well, actually I don't see a lot of handling wear so much as it's just not stored well, not taken care of, not bagged and boarded, put it that way. Interior pages are an owl 6, which means they're tanned, or at least they're not extremely tanned. I mean, it's maybe more like an owl 7, but I called it an owl 6. And this is not, I didn't grade it as high as a good because of this, those pieces missing, I think keep it from being good, but I call it a fair to good, which would be a 1.5 according to the CGC, which is just a little above the lowest grade, which would be fair. And I guess to qualify as a fair, I guess if there was a larger piece missing or a big tear, which I've had issues of this that I called fair, but they're a little bit worse, and ones that I've called good, which were a little bit better. So this is between that, would be fair to good. And this is available for sale on my website, mightymags.com. I have 15,000 magazines there, and not all Famous Monsters, but Famous Monsters is definitely part of it. This issue was really the first ongoing monster magazine ever published, and it's kind of in response to, in 1956 there was the first airing of King Kong, the original King Kong from 1933, the old Fay Ray King Kong, and that generated a 90% share across the country on that network. So the following year, Universal put together a package of 52 of their classic movies, Frankenstein movies, for example, Werewolf, Dracula, and they sold them to 90 different TV markets. And those TV markets, they hired horror movie hosts like her. And close to the end of this magazine, they've got a list here of the various radio or TV stations and their times that they air, and all the cities and everything that they have those programs. And so that generated a lot more interest in these classic movies that we hadn't seen for a while. Just the perfect timing for the baby boom generation, me being a part of that. We're coming up and watching those movies like I did in the 1960s. And so this capitalized on that. Forrest Ackerman, well, I should back up and say Jim Warren was an up-and-coming publisher, and he wanted to be like another Hugh Hefner. And he had a magazine, his first publication was called After Hours. And it was in issue #4 that Forrest Ackerman did an article for him, about, I think it was maybe just 4 pages. And that was popular, got a good response, so the following year they published this. Forey had seen a French magazine called Cinema 57, which a particular issue was devoted to monster magazine, or monster movies rather. Normally it was just a film magazine that was covered any kind of film, but that kind of gave him an idea for a magazine that was strictly devoted to monster movies, famous monsters of Filmland. Good name for it. And Forey was a perfect person to edit this too, because he's like a super fan of horror, sci-fi. In fact, they credit him for coming up with the term sci-fi, that abbreviation. And of course there's 1,000,001 puns and lots of fun all the way through all of these issues that were coming out in the 60s and 70s. And it was a lot of fun to, I'd be waiting at the, the newsstand for these issues. I'd be checking regularly, picking them up. And Warren also published other film magazines, such as Screen Thrills, devoted to serial movies, or matinee serials, and Spacemen with sci-fi, like Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, and then the comic book line, or the comic line of horror stuff like Creepy, Eerie Vampirella. That was very popular. That went over quite big. And Captain Company was a lot of fun. This is pre-Captain Company, of course. It's the first issue, but you could order a whole lot of stuff. I mean, like 8mm, 10-minute 8mm movies. Like I used to order those, and a whole lot of other stuff, back issues, and just lots and lots of stuff. So this is kind of iconic in that it's the first monster magazine published. There's been plenty of imitators since then, and they've really inspired a lot of people. People like, and people in the film industry, Steven Spielberg, John Landis, Stephen King. Just a lot of people came up and, cite this as an inspiration to them, and Forrest Ackerman and Jim Warren. So I think it'll be remembered for many years into the future. So it's a piece of history, and I enjoy handling these and buying and selling them like I have since the 1970s. I started buying and selling comic books and magazines in the 1970s, so I have 15,000 magazines listed on my website of all kinds, really. It's not just monster magazines, it's science fiction, it's comic book related, and 50,000 old comic books listed there as well. And that's what I do. I buy and sell monster magazines, comic books, and related items. But I thought that you'd like to see this particular issue and what it has. It is, like it says right there prominently, "Welcome monster lovers." And if you pause this, you could probably read this. I guess if I went page by page, seeing as this is HD, well, you can at least see the table of contents there anyways. But it's great stuff. I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun hobby. So I thought I would share that.